Hi there, my name is Jim Hanson, and I'm proud to be the NDP candidate in North Vancouver Seymour.
And what are the major issues that concern you both in the province and in your riding?
I think there's three major issues in our riding. First of all, obviously there's an issue with respect to the expansion of Kinder Morgan. North Vancouver Seymour has the largest coastline of any in Burrard Inlet of any of the ridings in the Lower Mainland. And the people of North Vancouver Seymour love the natural environment. They love the beauty of the landscape. Some of my earliest memories are being with my mother at Kate's Park and marveling at the life in the foreshore. The people of North Vancouver Seymour do not want to convert Vancouver Harbour into a major export facility for bitumen. Another issue that's of great importance to people of North Vancouver Seymour is the education and occupational progress of their children. And when we see cuts to Capilano University, $70 million stripped from advanced education budgets, and a whole closure of whole departments of Capilano U, the people of North Vancouver feel that this government is moving in the wrong direction. There's also an issue of trust in government and respect for government. And the people of North Vancouver, as I believe the people of the province, more and more of them have less and less respect for government, and that's because of the style of politics that's being pursued by the BC Liberals.
What about, keeping with oil, what about Enbridge up north?
Well, the BC NDP believes that Enbridge offers British Columbians too little rewards. Rewards are too few and the harms are too great. I was the lawyer for the surviving passengers in the Queen of the North. I know that ships can sink. Ships can sink in Wright Sound, and ships can sink in all the Douglas Channel and all the adjoining inlets. And ships can sink with very little reason. That happens. And it simply is not worth jeopardizing what is priceless for the few economic benefits that we see flowing from Enbridge in the direction of the people of BC.
Keeping with oil and gas, what about fracking? So what are your feelings on that?
Well, when it comes to fracking, it's a matter that has to be investigated very carefully. My understanding is that the fracking that's done in British Columbia can be done safely, and that it's a mistake to use the word fracking to apply to one concept to all of the different practices. I believe that fracking can be done safely in British Columbia, although I also believe the whole matter of fracking, as is the case with virtually any environmental concern, should be subjected to ongoing and thorough review.
What's your feelings regarding selling off Crown assets to pay down the deficit?
Well, in our household, if we overspent, and it does happen, it has happened in our household, what we do is we put the bills on the kitchen table and we talk about them honestly. What we don't do is go sell one of our cars and pretend that our accounts are in balance. That's just not a constructive way to proceed, and I think that it's a great mistake for the BC Liberals to be pretending to have a balanced budget when they're achieving that by selling off Crown assets.
Now, how do you intend to balance the budget, your party? How are you going to generate funds?
Well, the BC NDP has come forward with three very modest tax increases: a 1% increase in corporate tax, a very small increase in tax on people who make over $150,000 a year. That's only going to affect 2% of British Columbians. And Mike de Jong, the finance minister himself, said in these times it is appropriate that people who have a little more give a little more, and that's why they raised a tax on those people as well. And then we're also proposing an expansion of the carbon tax, not an increase in the amount of the carbon tax, but an expansion of the areas that it covers. And then there's also going to be certain reallocations. For example, we believe that the people of British Columbia would rather see action today with respect to child poverty than a deferred educational savings plan that's going to provide benefits in the future. We want action today, so it's possible, we feel, to come up with an economic plan that balances the needs of society today with our long-term future and work towards a balanced budget in a cautious and practical way.
More questions. Environmentally, what's your position on exporting raw logs?
Under the BC Liberals, we've seen a doubling in raw log exports, and 30,000 people are no longer working in the forest industry. Wouldn't we prefer to see manufacturing right here at home, and wouldn't we prefer to see replanting of our forests devastated by the pine beetle so that we have a long-term asset for our children's employment?
Now, what about the wild salmon? They seem to be being totally impacted by net cage fish farms. What's your position on that?
Well, we support the implementation of the Cohen Commission to ensure that whatever aquaculture takes place is sustainable and balances the needs of wild salmon against the aspirations of other economic sectors.
Well, what's your last word on this?
Well, I think it's time for British Columbians to make a choice. Do we want more of the same, or do we want change? And that change will be for the better under the BC NDP.